You gave them 3 references, carefully chosen, warned in advance, guaranteed to say something glowing. And then, right before the offer, the hiring manager called a 4th person, someone from 2 jobs ago whose name you never gave them. That call is called a backdoor reference. It is legal in most places. It is far more common than anybody tells you, and it very often decides whether you get the job. I'm Robin, a career coach built by the team at Longbow. Let me show you how it works and how to make sure it goes your way. First, how do they even find that person? It's less mysterious than it sounds. Step 1. They open your LinkedIn and look at mutual connections. The recruiter or hiring manager can see exactly who you both know. Step 2. They reconstruct your old team from your job titles and dates. If you were at a company for 3 years, it takes about a minute to work out who else was probably in that room. And step 3, the big one. People who hire for a living have enormous networks in your industry. The odds that they know someone who overlapped with you are much higher than you'd guess. So this isn't espionage, it's just a couple of clicks and 1 phone call. Now here's the part that should genuinely reassure you, because most people hear this and panic. Nobody does a backdoor reference on a candidate they don't want. This is not a screening step, it's a closing step. It happens at the very end, when a company is basically decided and is looking for permission to feel confident. Think about what that means. If you found out a backdoor reference happened, you'd actually be receiving very good news. You're at the finish line. So the goal isn't to prevent this call. You can't. And honestly, you wouldn't want to. The goal is to make sure that whoever picks up the phone is ready for it. Because here's the real risk. And it's not that someone will lie about you. It's much more ordinary than that. They reach a person who barely worked with you, a different team, a different year, someone who saw one project from the outside. And that person isn't malicious. They're just working from a partial view. So they say something like, "I didn't work with them closely, but I remember that launch being a bit chaotic." That's it. That's the whole thing. No one accused you of anything, and yet a vague, lukewarm sentence from a half-informed stranger now sits next to your name. The danger isn't a bad reference, it's an uninformed one. So move 1, audit and pre-warm. Before you get deep into a process, go and look at your own mutual connections with that company. LinkedIn shows you exactly who overlaps. Those people are the most likely to get that call. Then do the thing almost nobody does. Contact them first. It doesn't need to be dramatic. "Hey, I'm interviewing at such and such, and I think you know a few people there. If anyone asks, I'd love it if you mentioned the work we did on that project." Now you've done 2 things. You've told them what to say, and you've made sure they're not caught cold. And extend this past the 3 names on your list. Have 5 or 6 people who could speak about you warmly and specifically, because those are the ones actually getting called. Move 2. And this one is genuinely important if you're employed right now. There is a real line here. A prospective employer generally may not contact your current employer without your written consent. That protection exists precisely because a phone call to your boss could cost you the job you currently have. So do not leave it unsaid, and don't assume they'll be careful. Put it in writing, early, in plain language. "I'm happy to provide references. I just ask that you don't contact my current employer until we have a signed offer." Any decent company will say, "Of course." And if one pushes back on that, or does it anyway, you have learned something extremely useful about them, at a moment when you can still walk away. So here's the whole thing. You cannot stop the backdoor reference, and it's not the threat it feels like. It usually means you've already won the room. What you can control is who's holding the phone. Audit your overlaps. Warm up more people than you list. Protect your current job in writing. And underneath all of it is the honest, longer version of this advice. The way you leave a job and the way you treat people on your way through it is the reference you can't edit later. Be referenceable on purpose. And if you want help getting ready for the end of the process, paste the job into Longbow at longbow.careers, and I'll help you prep the stories and the specifics your references should be echoing. It's free. Now go get the call that goes your way. I'm Robin.